I want to thank you for joining us this morning. Our presenter is going to be Mark Martinez. He's the Senior Business Advisor here at UHV SBDC, and we're going to talk about building business credit. I'm Jean Smith. I am the Training Coordinator here at the University of Houston-Victoria SBDC. We are recording. If you will go ahead while we run through our beginning slides and just put in the chat where you are joining us from and the kind of business that you have or that you want to start, because our attendees do cross from those who are just planning their business to those that want to grow their business. Tomorrow you will get an email from me. Cross your fingers, it will have a link to the recording, a survey of how we've done, and a copy of the slides. So, Mark, if you want to go to the next slide. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about our center and SBDCs in general. The University of Houston-Victoria is a business advising and training center, and we serve 11 counties here in South Texas. We are hosted by the University of Houston-Victoria, and we are part of the Texas South-West SBDC network. And we are a resource partner with the Small Business Administration. Here in Texas, SBDCs are funded in part through a cooperative agreement with the SBA as well as the state of Texas. And what you see on the screen is just our chart outlining our network that our center is a part of. Each of the universities or community colleges that you see here host an SBDC, which covers a number of counties in their particular region. Go ahead. Oh, thank you, Mark. Now, our SBDC network is in blue. We span from El Paso all the way to the Gulf Coast. That is 79 counties here in South Texas. What you see in red, those are the counties that our particular center serves. And if you're in our service area, one of those counties that's listed, it's very easy to sign up online. If not, if you're outside of that or outside our network, I will put in the chat how to find your SBDC, because our SBDCs are across the country, and you are never far from the assistance of an SBDC. Now, these are the services that you would receive from our SBDC or any of the SBDCs across our network. These are no cost, they are confidential, and they are client driven. So whether you're in startup mode, you're expanding, you're transitioning, our business advisors are available for the life cycle of your business. Now, I will note, we don't provide legal or tax advice. So we are here to help you, and we certainly can direct you if you have legal or tax questions. Often we get confused with the Small Business Administration, but we are not the SBA, and we don't have access to SBA-related records. In addition to our one-on-one advising and the training opportunities like we're offering today, we do offer our clients access to specialty resource centers, and you can see that listed on the slide. There is no cost for that access to these centers, so they help us provide our clients with such things as research and data. Maybe you need an employee handbook. We have a human resources specialty center that can help you build that. And so whatever you need to get your business up, running, and being successful, we can help you with that. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and Mark, if you do the next slide. Okay, this is Mark Martinez. As you can tell, he has been running the slideshow because this is his presentation. He is a senior business advisor here at UHV SBDC. Now, Mark covers the counties of Goliad, DeWitt, Lavaca, and Victoria. His experience began with office management after he graduated from college. He's worked in nursing home management, he's worked in commercial electric distribution, and he's also operated several successful small businesses. He has been the state star for our network. That was in 2021. In addition, he holds multiple certifications like QuickBooks Pro Advisor, Lean Six Sigma, and Kaizen Facilitation. He is also a member of the adjunct faculty at the UHV College of Business. Mark holds a bachelor's of administration in accounting and a master's of science in economic development. And those degrees are from the University of Houston, so Victoria. So he is one of our alumni. And with that, Mark, I am going to turn it over to you. I want to thank everyone for joining us. We've got people here from San Antonio. We have Audie from Austin, someone who's in daycare, somebody who is in the oil field business, someone from Corpus in retail. Jeanette has joined us with, she's in healthcare. So we are so glad to have you all with us.
All right, well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning. And we're going to be talking about business credit. This tends to be a subject that comes up quite a bit in what we do and working with our clients and things like that. I've been doing this for 11 years. I've been a business advisor here at the University of Houston-Victoria Small Business Development Center for 11 years. And sometimes we have clients, and you may be one of them, who has always, paid everything cash. You really don't have any credit cards. You don't have any debt. You just, been able to pay things as you go, and that's a great thing. Where a lot of people tend to kind of come to a little bit of a roadblock is when they decide that maybe they want to expand, they want to purchase that new building or build something or purchase some new equipment or whatever the case may be. And now they're trying to obtain some financing through a lender and maybe leverage some of the cash that they do have. And then they apply and come to find out that they have no credit, but they've always paid on time. So one of the things that we always talk about with our clients is that it's important to begin to build business credit, and those are the things that we're going to talk about. And one of the other things that we always have to talk about too is that your personal credit is just as important as your business credit, and those two things will intersect or integrate with each other. They're not really too much separate from one another. So your personal credit is still a very, very important piece to obtaining business credit. So we have to make sure that we're keeping up with, making sure we're paying everything on time, making sure that we're paying our lines of credit down, our credit cards, and all those things, so that our personal credit stays intact and for us to be able to obtain that business credit. And a lot of people, many small business owners, don't realize that there is a such thing as business credit. Everybody knows about personal credit. And so one of the things is another question we get is how do you build that? How do you start to build business credit? And there's several reporting agencies out there. On the personal side, you have Experian, you have Equifax, you have TransUnion, and on the personal side, those three, Experian and Equifax, they track both personal credit and business credit. TransUnion only monitors personal credit, but does not track or monitor business credit. So, even though you're used to all of those on the personal side, the ones that you're going to use on the business side, the number one business credit reporting agency is going to be Duns and Bradstreet. Lots of times people don't know anything about Duns and Bradstreet, but think of them as that Equifax, or Experian for business credit. Now, again, like I said, Equifax and Experian do also report business credit. Now, Duns and Bradstreet only reports business credit, but they don't offer any personal credit monitoring. So there's kind of a little bit of a shift between them and what they report, what they don't report. Now, the one thing that we need to do first is, it starts with your personal credit again. We want to make sure that we're, keeping up with all of our bills and paying those on time, credit history, and all those things. We also want to look at making sure that we're selecting the business structure that's right for you, and creating your business and turning that into a legitimate business, whether it's a sole proprietorship, LLC, corporation. The other thing that we should also be obtaining is a federal tax ID number, or EIN number, which stands for an employer identification number. As a sole proprietor, you can also obtain that EIN number through the IRS. So you can go to irs.gov and apply for an employer identification number if you don't already have one. And it's important, I always like to say that the EIN number serves as the business's social security number. As a sole proprietorship, you're only going to get one EIN number per lifetime, whereas with the LLC, if you have multiple LLCs, then every single LLC will have its own EIN number. On the sole proprietorship side, if you have multiple businesses and they're all sole proprietors, you could use that one EIN number for all of those that you have. We want to also make sure that we establish a business bank account. That's very, very important. Having that business bank account helps you separate your personal from your business activity, and it also helps with looking much more professional, and people feel more comfortable when they're paying, whether they're sending that through Cash App or sending that, writing you a check or whatever the case may be, that it's getting sent to a business bank account and not a personal bank account. We also want to look at establishing credit with vendors and suppliers who report. So if you're a business right now who is utilizing vendors and suppliers, we want to make sure that we're asking them, if they're reporting to Duns and Bradstreet, to Experian, and to Equifax, and making sure that they have all of your proper information, so that you are obtaining that business credit that your business needs. Then we also want to be monitoring those business credit reports just as much as you do your personal credit reports. The important piece of this is that, and we're going to get into that here in a little bit, but if you don't have a Duns and Bradstreet number, it's free. Anyone can do it. Everybody is eligible. So that would be another first step into building your business credit. So we talked about the business bank account and why the business bank account is beneficial. And again, it boils back to protection, personal, makes you look a lot more professional, a lot more prepared, and also purchasing power, because the lending institutions are also reporting back to Duns and Bradstreet and the other reporting agencies as well. So we want to look at also, when we're reporting or applying for business credit, again, establish that account with Duns and Bradstreet. A lot of times Duns and Bradstreet has your information already. You just have to go out there and claim your business name. So if you're an LLC, if you're a corporation, the state, if you became an LLC with the state of Texas, they probably have already submitted your information to Duns and Bradstreet. So they're just waiting for you to claim your business. So you can go to Duns and Bradstreet, search for your business name, and it'll probably pop up. And then what'll happen typically is you claim your business, and then they'll send you a verification code, usually by mail. So that'll take 3 to 5 business days or so, and then you log back in and claim your business on Duns and Bradstreet. So if you don't see your business already listed, then that's not a problem. You just fill in the information that it asks for, and you follow the same process as you would if your business was already being shown in their database. One of the things that we also talk about is obtaining credit cards. So we want to make sure that any merchants that you're looking at, uh, even banks and things like that, that we're doing some comparison shopping. We're looking at fees, we're looking at benefits that are offered. So, things like introductory offers, interest rates, transaction fees, minimum account balance fees, and the like. So we're looking at, a lot of the things that banks are offering us, and we want to make sure that we're picking a lender that is right for us, right for you, for the business that you're in, and even for the stage of business that you're in, whether you're, new to the market and you're a new startup, or you've been in business for quite some time. So it is important to do that. When we open up a business bank account, now the lenders are going to ask you for that EIN number. Now banks will and can open up a sole proprietorship bank account utilizing your social security number, but I always recommend that you still obtain an EIN number, and especially for reporting purposes. For business credit, we want to make sure that the business is actually receiving the credit. Again, your personal credit does play into this, so at the same time that you are building personal credit, you're building business credit, and vice versa. Make sure that you have all of your business formation documents, like the assumed name certificate, LLC certificate, operating agreement, articles of organization, ownership agreements, and all those types of things. So now that brings us to Duns and Bradstreet. So again, Duns and Bradstreet, Duns numbers are used by lenders and potential business partners to help determine the reliability and financial stability of the company in question. So again, Duns and Bradstreet is known as a top business credit reporting agency. And again, they don't report or offer any personal credit monitoring. It's just strictly business credit. Now, your lenders, credit card companies, vendors, suppliers, maybe some of your fintechs, those types of things, they're all reporting to Duns and Bradstreet. So if you're borrowing money, if you're obtaining 30-day credit from vendors and suppliers, you want to make sure that you're paying them on time, and making sure that you're not getting behind with anybody, because all this information is being reported to Duns and Bradstreet. And lenders do use this as a way to look at whether they should lend you any money or offer you any type of trade credit or anything like that. So we want to make sure, again, we're taking advantage of this so that you're obtaining the business credit that you need. One of the other things that I'm not an expert in this, but it can happen and it does work, is that you can also self-report. So if you've been in business for quite some time and you're one of those who has paid everything cash, and has kind of, never really needed a credit card or loan or anything like that. But now you're at a point where maybe you do need to get that financing. You can self-report. We know some professionals in the lending world that are experts in that, and basically many of them, what they do, from what my understanding is that you obtain letters verifying, that you are or have been a good, have good payment history and have been a good customer with different vendors and different suppliers and things like that, and self-report this information. Um, and so that will help your credit score on the business side. And so again, this information is public records. So they can look up, the lenders can look this up. You can look this up. Suppliers, everybody is reporting. And one of the things that I've learned throughout my career talking to lenders is that if you do obtain any kind of financing, a lot of times people want to pay those loans off early. From my understanding is that you have to make sure that you're paying at least 6 to 7 on-time payments before it gets reported to a credit agency. So don't pay it off too early, and so that this way you get the credit for for that the payments that you're making on that particular loan. So make sure at least, doing at least 7 on-time payments so that it gets reported to these reporting agencies like Duns and Bradstreet, or Experian and Equifax. So again, Duns and Bradstreet, the number is free. It's a unique identifier for your business. Free business listing, free credit reports, and opportunity to partner with other businesses, receive, submit contract bids, and more. The website, we provided the website at the bottom of this slide. And so there's a lot of different benefits to having a Duns and Bradstreet number. And I do, definitely recommend you going out there and looking at what your business credit looks like today. If you've never looked at it, or, if you're curious and interested, this is where we're going to start. We're going to start by creating that Duns and Bradstreet account, or claiming your account. Because again, if you're an LLC or a corporation, it's more than likely already there, just waiting for you to claim it, and then verifying that that is your business that they are listing. Let's see. Yeah, and even as a sole proprietorship, like I said, you can also have a Duns and Bradstreet number. So it is a valuable tool for businesses of all sizes, and again establishes the business credit, get approved for loans, and attract other new customers. If some of you are also using what they call the fintechs like Square and QuickBooks financing, PayPal, Cash App, all those fintechs, they are all also reporting to Duns and Bradstreet. So if you're borrowing from them through their financing deals, make sure that you are paying them back on time, because all that information is going back to Duns and Bradstreet and the other 2 agencies. And so, that can hurt you if it's not getting taken care of properly. And remember, if you're current with suppliers who don't report to Duns and Bradstreet, that information won't be included. And this is where I was talking about earlier. You can self-report, so make sure that you are obtaining some of those credit letters and things from those vendors and suppliers to help your business credit score. Trade lines. So a trade line is a record of activity of any type of credit extended to the borrower and reported to a credit reporting agency. So again, we've talked a lot about that when you're obtaining, inventory and you're obtaining supplies and things, you may be on a 30-day payment schedule, and so they don't have you due on receipt. So they're allowing you to make these purchases, and then they're billing you at a later time. So we want to make sure that we're paying those trade lines back in a proper manner, and making sure that we stay on top of those things as to making sure that our business credit isn't being affected by not paying them on time or getting behind. So again, we talked about Equifax and Experian. These two and Duns and Bradstreet. Again, Duns and Bradstreet is the top business credit reporting agency, but you can also take a look at the reporting from Experian and Equifax. Now, we're used to one of the things that happens with Experian and Equifax is that we're used to scores of 500, 600, 700. So that's their scoring method, whereas with Duns and Bradstreet, it kind of follows the same process, but the numbers are much, much lower. So I think that if I remember correctly, I think if you have a Duns and Bradstreet score of, I think, 80 and 100, then that's kind of equivalent to having like a 700, 800 credit score. So so when you look at those credit scores through Duns and Bradstreet in comparison to Experian and Equifax, the ranges are going to be different, but just remember that that's how Duns and Bradstreet does their reporting. So again, and it should give you a scale of whether it's a good credit score, or somewhere in the middle, or a bad credit score. It's going to tell you where you actually fall in to that range. Credit report retention. Every commercial credit bureau is a little bit different. So the length of time that they keep your information, it just depends, but typically, and it really does follow industry guidelines and government recommendations. So typically it's about 36 months for trade data, 9 years and 9 months for bankruptcies, 6 years and 9 months for judgments, 6 years and 9 months for tax liens, commercial code filings, or the UCCs is what you're normally used to hearing them through lenders. Those are typically about 5 years. Collections are 6 years and 9 months. And then bank and government and leasing data is usually about 36 months. Business credit card. This is something that comes up all the time, and one of the easiest way to and quickest way to obtain personal credit is by getting a getting a personal credit card. You can also do that with a business by obtaining a business credit card. Not only does it help you finance some of the purchases that you need, but it also helps you with some other perks as well. You might get some points and things like that you can earn through using a business credit card. Now, one of the things that we have to keep in mind is that if you have ever tried to get a business credit card solely in the name of your business, it's very, very hard to do. Typically, most small businesses will never have a business credit card in their business name only. What the credit card companies do is it'll be a business credit card, but it's tied to your personal guarantee. So you'll see the business name on the card, and then right below it is your personal name. So it'll have both names on the card. What happens with that is that credit card companies have very, very hard requirements that make it tough for a small business to get one solely in the EIN's number or business name. There's very and everyone is different, but a lot of times, sometimes some of these business credit cards, if you want that solely in the business name, it has to be tied to a bank account that has a minimum balance, say, of $90,000 at all times. There's a lot of different requirements that you have to go through to obtain that business credit card solely in the business name and EIN number. So a lot of times, that's the reason why. And if you've tried it, you know all the questions that they ask, and they have to look at financials and tax returns and bank accounts and all these different things, because they want to make sure that that they're getting, they're going to get paid back. Typically, the ones that do have a business credit card in the business name only and EIN number for that business only are going to be large corporations. So a lot of your large corporations are the ones that are able to do that because they meet those requirements of the credit card companies, but small business owners unfortunately can't. And so, but at the same time, even though it's going to be basically a business card with a personal guarantee behind it, again, you're still building business credit, and at the same time, you're also still building personal credit. So we want to make sure that we're keeping up with those purchases being made on your business credit card, making sure we're paying our debts back, and this information again is getting reported back to the different credit agencies, and which again, the number one business credit agency is going to be Duns and Bradstreet. So here are some of the credit card companies that we are familiar with, and of course the things that will be on your cards or on your account will be the legal business name, like I talked about, printed on the card, the type of business that you own. All that information will be with the credit card company that you're applying for or with. So some of the best practices is use only for business. Use that credit card only for business purchases and expenses. Try not to use that for any personal reasons. You should have your own personal credit card for that. And so you want to make sure that only business transactions are flowing through that business credit card. You want to make sure you're reviewing your statements. Use expense reports feature so you can see where a lot of your purchases are being made. Try not to max it out. Pay more than minimum payment. Keep your line of credit, as high as you can, so that you have that available to you in case there isn't enough cash flow coming through the business. You can rely on that business credit card, and stay current on your payments, and use care if allowing employee use. Sometimes you may have employees that travel for work, working in your business. And so we want to make sure that if you are giving them a company credit card, that and have some kind of policies in place that what they're going to spend it on, and they know what they can spend it on. Many times I see clients that will give cards to their employees, mainly for gas and maintenance type things for the vehicles, to get to and from the different work sites. Sometimes they may let them use it for meals and things like that, but you want to make sure that they understand what the policy is, and that they're just not spending it on whatever they want to. I've also seen business owners use it allow employees to use it for maybe purchasing new work boots or different things like that, equipment that they need for the job, inventory, things like that. So what you can do as well with a lot of these credit cards is if you're using QuickBooks or if you're using other accounting software, you can actually tie that to QuickBooks, create the business credit card or business credit card account in QuickBooks, for instance, and download those transactions electronically so that you can keep up with the transactions that are coming through that credit card on a regular basis instead of waiting until the end of the month. You can daily download the transactions or weekly or whatever and categorize all those transactions that are coming through that credit card, and that can help you reconcile that a little bit easier. Again, bill payments and making sure that we're paying on time, making sure we're keeping track of what we're spending through credit cards, or making sure that you're paying on time, paying all your business loans back and all those things, paying early if you can. And this way, you're having you're creating a good payment history with everybody that you're dealing with. When we're dealing with business loans, you want to make sure that you're always talking to your lender, maybe shop around for different types of business loans, see what, which banks will offer you a better deal, and then, of course, making those payments on time. Line of credit, you have a preset borrowing limit, kind of just like your credit card, but these are typically done through your lender. A lot of times these are used for, again, if we're a little bit low on cash flow, it can cover your payroll, it can cover maybe that unforeseen maintenance that you need done, or maybe you need to purchase that new piece of equipment, and you have money coming in, but it's not here right now. And the line of credit is a way to be able to finance some of those necessary business transactions. And so we, again, just kind of like the credit card, use as needed, pay amount borrowed back as you bring in the accounts receivables that you have coming in from your customers, and just make sure that you're not maxing it out and now you don't have that credit available for you to use. So some of the uses for it: working capital, day-to-day business costs, for supplies and inventory, bridging cash flow gaps, unexpected emergencies, and the like. Some of the best practices is just watching for high interest rates, penalties for late payments, potential for overspending, and then regulatory protection different from credit cards. So, we have to follow the banking requirements, and we want to make sure that we're establishing, again, a good rapport and good credit history, not only with the lender, but again, the lender is reporting this information to Dun & Bradstreet. So if you're taking out business loans and you're taking out lines of credit, and now something happens with that lender, and now you're trying to go to another lender, they have already reported this information, so the other lender is going to be able to have access to that information, depending on what has happened, right? So we want to make sure that we're using best practices, making sure that we're making good decisions, and also not borrowing more than what we can afford. Industry involvement, it allows you to establish relationships. You can attend trade shows, join industry associations, network with other like businesses, local chambers, and business groups. So a lot of times through these agencies, you're able to also create some industry involvement and know who else is out there in the industries that you're working in. So a quick recap is that business credit equals business financial health. Again, remember your personal credit is still a big piece to business credit. And so just because you're obtaining business credit doesn't mean that you don't have to worry about your business credit or your personal credit. And again, vice versa. So we both are going hand in hand. There's always going to have to be a personal guarantee, more than likely, for anything that you do. But again, as you begin to grow and scale your business, that business credit does come in as a very important piece to the growth and scaling of your business. And so, this again, it just allows you to do more things and allows you to, take those leaps and bounds that you're wanting to do. Whereas without having that business credit established, it may make things a little bit more harder for you to obtain. That growth of maybe you need, again, maybe you're looking at purchasing a new building, or you're needing to expand that building, or maybe you're moving into a new market, or whatever the case may be. So we want to look at favorable financing, look at better terms from vendors. One of the things that you can do as well is negotiate with your vendors and suppliers, especially if you're spending a lot of money with them on purchasing inventory. We want to make sure that you're getting the best deals that you can and leverage that to your advantage. It can take 1 to 3 years to establish, but you can begin establishing the business credit from the very start of your business. It's just a matter of, again, securing your Duns and Bradstreet number and making sure that everything is being reported. And if you're not sure whether your vendor or supplier is reporting to any of these credit bureaus, all you have to do is ask. Just ask them, if your payment history is being reported to any of the agencies that we've listed: Duns and Bradstreet, Experian, Equifax, and if they are, then that's great. And if they aren't, again, there is a way to self-report. And then, of course, we want to make sure that we have that business bank account, we have the EIN number, we have the business structure in place, so that everything is being done correctly. So I wanted to kind of open that up to any questions that we may have. And so I know I kind of ran through that kind of quickly, but I wanted to leave some time for any questions that may be out there, or any concerns that anyone may have.
Okay, we do have some questions, and while we're running through the questions, if you'd like to take our poll, let us know how we've done so far. That'd be awesome. So let me go back here, and we're going to start with some that we have on Dun and Bradstreet's. Let me just find it. Oh, here we go. And this is from Laura. And she'd like to know, when you claim your business, will you be required to pay a membership fee?
No, Duns and Bradstreet is actually a no-cost service, so you should not have to pay any kind of membership fees.
Okay, and someone had asked for the Dun and Bradstreet link. It's in the resource handout, but I've also included that in the chat.
Yeah,
and
you
Laura,
can. I was going to say, you can also just Google it, Duns and Bradstreet, and it'll take you straight to their site, and then you can begin that process of, again, claiming your business, or signing your business up with Duns and Bradstreet, and creating that account.
Okay, and Laura also wanted to point out, just in case we've missed it, that the EIN, the identification number, is available at no cost, and it's from www.irs.gov. And that's a great point. There are a lot of things that a business needs to get as identification, and many of them are at no charge to the business. So we want you to be careful. We don't want you to get scammed. So your EIN is at no cost, as is registering for Dun& Bradstreet. We have a question about can you restate the entities like fintech? Which of those that report to Dun & Bradstreet?
Yeah, so, and again, fintech, if you're wondering what that means, is just they've joined the two words of financial and technology together and calling them fintech. So these are a lot of your online type of lenders, which again would be like Square. So if you're using Square right now as your merchant processor, Square offers lending through their company, and so that's going to be one that, and many of them are reporting. But so you got Square. If you're using QuickBooks merchant processing, QuickBooks also now has, and they've had for a long time, where lending through Intuit. They're also reporting PayPal, Cash App, uh, and many of the ones that are out there, Stripe. There's a whole bunch of them. But if you're using any of those and you're utilizing any of the lending platforms through those fintechs, they will report to the credit agencies.
Okay, Thomas would like to know if someone has operated as a sole proprietor with or without an EIN and converted it to some type of entity, whether that's an LLC or an S corp, does that prior history transfer to their new entity? That's a great
No.
question.
Yeah, that is a good question. And the answer is no, because if you've been operating as a sole proprietor, and you're using your social security number as your tax ID number, now that sole proprietorship can obtain an EIN number, now if you like to, and continue operating that way and establish that business credit, if sole proprietorship structure works well for you. Now if you convert to a single member LLC, and we have to remember too that the S corp or the C corp designation is only for tax purposes, so you're still an LLC no matter what it is. But the reason why it doesn't transfer over is because now your personal credit will come along with it, but the business credit now, because when you convert from a sole proprietorship to an LLC, again, remember you're creating a whole new EIN number. So it's like as if you may have been in business for 10 years as a sole proprietor, but once you convert to an LLC, you're starting from scratch basically. When it comes to the business itself. So you're basically kind of starting over, and that's the reason why that really wouldn't come over, because it's now a new EIN for the LLC than what you were using for the sole proprietor.
Okay. Laura, I'd like to know what are the numbers that are used different from the traditional credit reporting agencies, like for the Dun & Bradstreet credit scoring numbers?
Yeah, let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Um, let's see. Yeah, they're not your traditional 700-800 credit scores. They are more of like a range between, say, 30 to 50. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Yeah, I don't have that in front of me, but again, those scores are going to be much lower than what you're used to seeing through Experian and Equifax. So don't let that scare you or anything. So if they say you have a credit score, say Duns& and Bradstreet says you have a credit score of 100, that doesn't mean that you're on, because if we're looking at Experian and Equifax, that would tell us that that's not a good credit score. But on the Duns and Bradstreet for business credit, it is a really good credit score. So those are things that you just have to kind of get used to. But again, if you go out there and look at your business credit score report, um, it'll give the explanation of where you are, as far as business credit goes, just like uh, on the personal side as well.
Okay. And I just remind everybody, go ahead and drop your questions in the chat. David would like to know, can you turn a personal credit card into a business credit card?
Um, I would probably, what I would do is I would probably apply for another credit card, even if it's through the same credit card company, because now you have established credit with that company. But this way, it keeps you have your personal credit card, and then you will now have a what I would call a personal business credit card. Um, and you use that card solely for business, and then the personal one that you have is solely for personal transactions. So I would definitely create a new one instead of converting.
Okay. Can you go over credit to purchase a vehicle in the name of your business?
Yeah. So on that again, on the if you're purchasing a a vehicle for your company, you can definitely do that. And again, it's just going to go back to that personal guarantee again, and making sure that whoever you're purchasing these vehicles from are putting that into the business name and utilizing that EIN number and not you personally. And then that way, of course, you're still tied to it, but this way it becomes an asset of the business. And again, that as you're making payments and things like that to that vehicle company, the business is uh, obtaining that business credit, and that's being reported again to Duns and Bradstreet. So it can be a little bit of a process, but making sure that whoever you're dealing with, they understand that this needs to go into the business name, if that's how you want that to, uh, you know, be reported in your financials and things like that.
Okay, and Laura from Lift Fund has joined us for Mark's presentation today, and she's made some very pertinent comments. One is for your company credit request. You can put a limit on that card with the employee's name that's on it, and that allows you to monitor the activities and stick to a budget within those allowed transactions. And her other comment is you can expect traditional lending rates to be 10% or higher right now. Usury rates are in excess of 29% and up to 44.5%. So her note is, please know what's happening with the economy and the Fed rates. And as a small business owner, you got to know that. You just have to stay current on it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, those are things that we can't control in the business community. But it's just making sure that, like Gene and Laura have said, making sure that you know what to expect. And right now, from what I understand, interest rates aren't going down anytime soon, and probably won't go down until maybe the end of next year, I think, or something like that, from what I understand. So if you are obtaining any type of lending, I mean, right now I'm seeing, interest rates between uh, 10, 12% interest on business loans. So, and that's actually a good rate.
Yeah. And if you're as old as I am, you can remember when that was a good rate before. Rich would like to know how to establish better business credit if he's not using lenders, vendors, or suppliers.
Yeah, so I mean, one of the things again is maybe, and if you've been good pay, looking at self-reporting, uh, still obtaining that Duns and Bradstreet number. Uh, if you're paying everything, because it sounds like maybe he might be paying everything cash, and he hasn't really had that need to obtain that lending. But sometimes what you can do too is take out a small loan from a lender, maybe 5,000, 10,000, and pay that back and kind of start to create uh, that credit history with the lending institution that is reporting back to Duns and Bradstreet. So you can do small little incremental loans and things like that, and maybe get a business credit card. That'll help. So just little things like that. It doesn't have to be anything uh, too extravagant, but every little bit helps in you being able to obtain that good credit, and being able to do more things within your business.
Okay, and Richard would like to know, um, how do you know if you file for the correct EIN, sole proprietorship, or LLC?
Yeah. So
And
when you
I think
so
that's something you business advisors help our clients with all the
Yes.
time.
Yeah. So, well, one of the things is definitely reaching out to your local SBDC office, wherever you may be. And an advisor can walk you through that process and making sure that you do select that. Because I will tell you that if you don't select the right type of business structure, it is very hard to change. So you want to be careful with that. But if you do decide to go through it on your own, uh, I always tell everybody go through it very, very slow. Uh, Read over everything very, very carefully, and it'll it's pretty self-explanatory, but uh, it can be a little bit overwhelming too because you're dealing with now the federal government, and but make sure that you're just reading everything correctly and it aligns with what your business structure is, whether it's a sole proprietorship or an LLC. Making sure that the same information that you created that business structure with is what's going into the IRS online application for that EIN. But again, definitely ask for help and assistance. And our SBDCs, our small business development centers throughout the state of Texas, can help you with that and walk you through it and make sure that you're selecting the right business structure for that EIN number.
And we have one last question. This is from Audie, and it's in regards to an SBA loan. And she wanted to know, um, speaking of rates, should she wait until the end of next year? They're in the process of working on their business plan, and they're just not sure when the time will be right,
Yeah,
for taking that SBA loan.
well, and the thing about that is that, you know, there may not ever be a right time, but there is a time that you feel more comfortable in moving forward with that lending. And I think that by you doing the planning, working on that business plan and going through those things, that's the best thing that you can do right now because that doesn't cost you anything but time. And so planning is very important in structuring and putting together your business and getting your business ideas on paper. So, I would have to say that the best time is when you feel the most comfortable with moving forward with applying for that loan and knowing when the right time is for you. And so, I mean, that's kind of my suggestion for that. And it also depends on when you are ready to open the business. You don't want to get yourself, you don't want to, jump the gun or uh, try to hurry up the process. And so again, it just has to align with when you truly feel comfortable with moving forward with, okay, now it's time to open this business or start this business in your community.
Okay, and that is all the questions that we have. Just remind you, you'll be getting an email from me tomorrow and have a copy of Mark's slides. We do have a handout document for you as well. We appreciate you taking time to be with us here this morning. As you can see on the screen, there's some ways that you can contact us. And if you've taken the poll, which 11 of you have, thank you so, so much. We really appreciate letting us know how we've done. There'll be a link to a survey just in case you didn't get to it today. We understand. I will tell you our next webinar will be at 2 o'clock this afternoon. You can go to www.uhvsbdc.com and you can sign up and join our webinar on Jingle All the Way and get that holiday marketing and planning started. Of course, when you go to that website, you can see all the webinars we have scheduled. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you at our next webinar. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye, everybody.
Was wondering if that was